Hey there, it's Ryan Reynolds, and you are listening to Fearless in Devotion, the absolute worst podcast in all of football history. Go get them, guys.
Here they come, a mighty champion.
Great all, and welcome to the latest episode of the Fearless in Devotion podcast. We have Tim Edwards, Red Andy Gilpin, we have Liam Randall, and myself, Andrew Pollard. There is no Reese this week because he's on suspension for eating 2 digestive biscuits during last weekend's pod. So Reese will hopefully be back with us at some point soon. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by the Fat Boy Mold Wrexham, Hill Street Social, the Mice Quinn Hall, Effie's Carnivore, the Bucking Banger, and the Croix Howell. But you can support us as well in other ways, such as the newsletter. Andy, have you got a link to
big news in newsletter world? Big news.
Oh,
right. It's back to 15 quid.
Anyone
who wants to start taking the newsletter, it's like, I take the Daily Mail.
Said nobody with a sensible mind. But anyway, I digress.
So anybody who wants a newsletter for the first year, it is £15.
Free for a year.
Yeah, over those 12 months. Sorry, what did you say, Liam?
Free for a year.
It's not free.
Sorry, it's an old sofa advert.
Okay, thanks, Liam. Cheers for your contribution there. Basically, the first year of the newsletter is £15. Now you have 12 months to then decide if it's worth it, if it's worth carrying on for the full price, which is closer to 40. For that, you get Liam. Don't shake your head. You've been in it. So for that, you get around about 3,500 words a week, loads of different little features. Fan of the week's pretty popular. There's some good stuff in there. If anybody would like to try it before getting it, I will send you a version just so you can have a look. And Tim, I think we stand by it, don't we?
Send them versions. It's good. It's cheap. It's got loads of good stuff in. It's got loads of exclusive stuff in. It's got loads of swearing in. It's got loads of
swearing's new. We took a vote on it.
Yeah,
community. We're a community.
We're not gonna. You and I are not gonna put our name to things that we think is shite. So we like it. Please buy it.
Yeah, I like how it's like almost like the DFS where there's always a sale on. I think it was full price for about a fortnight, but yeah, great value on that. Of course, you can also support us by throwing in and buying us a coffee. The links are below if you're listening to this on whichever podcast platform, it's easy for me to say, or on YouTube. And of course, like, subscribe, share, all those things that the algorithm loves. And I should also add as well, there is going to be a bonus pod later in the week, Wednesday, maybe Thursday. We're just not entirely sure what it's going to be yet. There's something we've got ready in the tank ready to go, but there might be something new to go with as well. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears peeled for that.
Might be getting a major guest. We don't want to. Well, we obviously can't say who yet, but we're working on it in the background, and that's maybe why we're late this week.
Is it Scottish Pete?
It is Scottish Pete. Finally, from the first ever episode, the myth, the man, the myth, the notion, Scottish Pete will finally be coming on in a full kilt.
I thought you were going to say Tom Taylor then, the man, the myth, the legend, who doesn't actually exist, I don't think. Before we get into proper football chatter as well, just a little shout out to SP Energy Network's 5 District Walk that we talked about last week that Sean Griffiths and the Scottish Power crew are doing. It starts this week, 70 kilometres over 2 days across the SP Manweb licence area, which is the 6th and 7th of June. Money goes to the Wrexham AFC Foundation. They'll split between 2 fantastic causes, which is Team Archie and Wrexham AFC Power Chair football team. The target, they've absolutely smashed it. It was supposed to be £7,500. As of this recording, it's on just over 11,600, including a £5,000 contribution, the £5,000 contribution from Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. So yeah, great work from all involved there. A great cause. If you've got a few quid you fancy throwing in, go to Just Give In and search for Wrexham AFC Foundation 5 District Walk, and best of luck to Sean and his crew on that. Yeah, brilliant. Right, let's get into Welcome to Wrexham. Episode 4, titled Built to Last. We had the injuries to Arthur Okonkwo and Callum Burton, Mark Howard stepping up, Jack Marriott obviously injured previously, Stephen Fletcher. There's a lot to talk about. Tim, we'll start with you on this one. Where do you want to get? I guess we'll go with Arthur and Callum Burton, and then obviously Mark Howard turned into chomp at what, 37, I think he was at that point, or 38 even. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's weird, isn't it, watching it back, because you think, oh God, it feels like an eternity ago now, but it actually wasn't. And that particular point of the season it could have been a disaster. It could have been a disaster if you think about it, the way they were going down for the injuries and the significance of those injuries. So I enjoyed it because it still blows my mind in a weird way, but like Chomp has got such a massive following now in North America. I don't know if that's via the TST and everything else, but absolutely adore him like a sort of like cult hero, maybe more than some of the home fans. I don't know, but I enjoyed it. It was good to kind of remind us of the pitfalls of that particular point of the season and how good Callum Burton was when he came in. He was tremendous. And then, yeah, I mean, just so unfortunate for him at the time, the way he went down. But it's good. It just shows you like how dependable Mark Howard was and how wherever he ends up next season, he will probably almost certainly be. You'd like to think he would be number one choice wherever he goes because he deserves it. Just come in, prove time and time again he can just step in at the drop of a hat, and very, very rarely ever let this club down. So I enjoyed that. The personal one for me was Gareth Owen. I think I just not gonna lie, did cry. Just because you could fill an entire episode about Gareth Owen. I think he understated and underplayed himself in terms of how much he contributed to this club as a player. You know, there's so many bits, such a great servant for the club, whether playing in goal at Burnley or doing that massive pass to Lee Jones at West Ham in the cup. So many good memories, but it was so brave of him to go on because I imagine the journey he's been on. He could have easily just locked himself away and go, I don't want people to see or hear me like this, but he's fronted up, he's owned it, and he is a kind of beacon for anybody who goes through something like that. And it shows you that you can overcome it with the strength he's got and with those, you know, like Gemma and everybody else around him. So yeah, big shout out to Gaz for telling everybody that story.
Yeah, I think it's very much the character of the man in that, like you said there, Tim, the fact that he could have shied away from being in the spotlight or from explaining his journey, what he's been through, and he's not, because that is Gareth Owen. He's a fighter, a battler, and again, he is very understated in his role in this football club. Be it today, the work he's doing with the ladies, or as a player, one of the. You talk about the Lee Jones assist at West Ham. I think probably my two favourite assists might be Gareth Owen. There's the little ball he plays with Kieran Durkin away at Man United. It's just delicious. Yes,
I watched that before coming on, before the goal at West Ham. I just recommend anybody who hasn't seen that, just Google West Ham United 2, Wrexham 2. The pass he does is insane. He's got one of the best passes, cross-field passes I've ever seen. So yeah.
For our American audiences, that is very much like the quarterback throw. It just is pitch perfect. I mean, while we're talking about, obviously, Gareth Owen is a product of our youth system, but we also got to look into the academy and hear a little bit more about some of the planning around that. Tom Kelly coming into focus, and I thought coming across really well. Lee and Andy, you want to jump in on this at all?
Yeah, that one was I quite liked that. You know, enjoyed getting a bit of a look into the academy. I feel like that's part of the club that maybe hasn't been delved into, and it'll be interesting to see how Tom gets on. Really, you know, you'll get that focus on him now, and I'd love to see, you know, a few years down the line that he's come good and made it into the first team, because I think that's what we all want to see. Really, is, you know, that product line start up again after. You know, it did so well for so many years, but then I think it got to a point, as they alluded to, where it wasn't really affordable under the trust. So let's hope it gets going again and we get some first teamers. There was just one thing I was going to touch on which surprised me, which was the mention of us buying the Rock for the
first time. I think it's
women's
actually been
team.
official, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been rumored for a long time, but it was just strange that it came out in the documentary as opposed to, because I'm not sure when that meeting was actually held, and I don't know what the current status is of those sale talks, whether it's an ongoing process or what. I mean, it's a good development if they do, because, you know, I would argue you could use that facility for the men's team if needs be as well, you know. But it's a good facility, and it's a shame that obviously the Druids don't play, you know, well, don't exist anymore. But I think it could be a way to keep it in use for the community, could be if we bought it. So we'll see on that front.
Yeah. Andy, anything to add on that? And also Stephen Fletcher, got to see, obviously we talked Mark Howard stepping up. Stephen Fletcher, again, you get to see him stepping up when we really needed those last minute goals, those late goals during the holiday period, the festive period. And it kind of makes you kind of romanticize it of like, did we make the right decision? Could we have kept him for another season? I've seen that being talked about online. I know you're very
Yeah,
I know you're very cutthroat on that.
No, we have. We've made the right decision there. We can't go back on that. I absolutely forgot how many winners he scored us, because obviously I was at the at the Wigan game, at the Blackpool game, just about saw the Blackpool goal, and I forgot he scored the winner against Shrewsbury as well. Those are my favourite bits, the bits where we go back and we talk to the players, learn a bit more about them, humanise them. They're by far my favourite bits. But my favourite bits, and a lot of favourite bits, was Gareth Owen. Because he sat down and he talked, and I was even thinking, are they going to mention it? Because obviously his voice has completely changed since he came on this podcast a few years ago. And you forget that Gareth was a great singer, he was a great guitar player, and all that's been sort of taken away from him a little bit by the stroke. And it's incredibly brave from a very brave and very understated man. Like Wayne said, one of my heroes growing up, because I thought he was too good for us. But I think what's been leveled against Gareth was he had the talent, but maybe didn't push himself as much because he was too humble and he didn't have that streak of arrogance. But that's just not Gareth. And just looking at him sort of coaching, you can see the respect the girls have got for him. But even when he was carrying the bag with his bad hand, and it was just sort of resting, it was heartbreaking a little bit. But it was so brave of him to do that, and I didn't think I could have more admiration for that fella, but I do. And that is the power and the beauty of the documentary. And every time you think, right, they've exhausted all the stories in and around this club, they go and then dig out another one, and that's the one that really gets you. And I'm just so proud of the documentary. I'm just so proud of the people who are featured in it, and they do it in such a good way. I do think it is the best season. I think it's running along at a great pace. I think it's very well produced. Even the little sort of vignettes that come in, like we're following Humphrey through now, and I just think they break it up because Humphrey's so goddamn charming. I think it was. I just need to know what happened with that Channing Tatum night out. You can't just leave me hanging like that. What happened?
Do you not think all these segments are like perfectly timed as well?
Yeah.
That they'll give you a bit, then they'll take it somewhere else, and it's like, I need to know what happened. So it just hooks you, even if you.
Tom, straight away, I googled, did he get a new contract? Because I'm invested. Because like his dad going, come on, Tom, you're 8 years old. You don't need to go and jog.
The big takeaway for me for that was having a die-in-the-wool Scouser saying how much pride he had playing for Wrexham. That was a big thing for me, because in our heads, it wasn't so long ago that you get local lads vying to go play for Liverpool and vying for Everton. And of course, there's still elements of that, but it feels like that kind of mentality has flipped somewhat. Maybe some of those kids are a bit more realistic. That go, this club and this team are going places, and I want to be part of that. And he made no secret the bones that he wants to do that, and he's got all the kind of attitude and the family around him to be a success. So definitely one to watch. One of many, no doubt.
Yeah, I thought the whole family came across really well, the Kelly family. And just one last note on Gareth Owen. You talk about how humble he is and the ability he had. There's a great quote he said once during an interview, and it was something like, let me get it right. I always wanted to play in the Premier League, but I wanted to do it with Wrexham. That was it. So there would have been chances to go. There would have been interest to go at a higher level. And I know at one point Leeds came in with a bid when they were, I think, not long after they'd won the title in the early 90s. But it didn't materialise. I know that one was down to Brian Flynn. But just with Gaz, it's the fact of he knew he could move. There would be options there, but he didn't want to because he wanted to get to that level with his beloved club. And it's just, the Markman man, all the time in the world for Gaz.
Can I just say one thing on the doc? So you get to see, just about to see Mullin score that brilliant goal, and I just wanted them to start touching on Mullin and what's gone on this season, because from the star of the show to a bit part player, you need to sort of try and start telling this story a little, I think. And I'm not saying that they won't come back to it later on in the season, but if you're telling sort of episodic stuff, I would like a little section on Mullin, and he was in the team, he was starting at that point. And then
I think that will
really
come. I think if they did it now, it might detract from the various other sort of storylines going on. But there was that. I think it was made no secret that Rob McElhenney and him went for some long walk, didn't they? Down some country lane somewhere.
Yeah, and that was
discussing it. So I would imagine, I wouldn't be surprised if elements of that were filmed and formed part of it. But one final thing on Gareth, I'm sure Andrew will remind me of this. Do you remember his testimonial all those years ago against Manchester United? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure some of the names that Sir Alex Ferguson put in on that testimony ad were just real big names, like, which kind of shows you the.
Was Varane one of them when he was like a relatively new
Yeah,
signing there, and there was
yeah,
quite
Giggs
a lot of
played
big
it.
names.
Right, literally by coincidence, I have a couple of boxes of programs in front of me, right there on the top.
No
the
way.
Gareth Owen
Hang
testimonial.
on a
So-
minute.
Yeah. So what was the
No way.
question then, Tim? This is not pre-planned, I should say. I missed
Yeah,
the
no,
question.
I was just again.
I've got the team here. Do you want the team is Van der
Yeah,
Howe,
wow. Yeah.
No, doesn't really work
Henningberg.
translating there.
There's some sort of youth team players, but the main ones here are Van der Howe, Walwork, Michael Stewart, Jonathan Greening, Dwight York, Ryan Giggs, and then who else came on? I think the one that you're thinking about is the Flynn and Reeves testimonial, where Varane and I think Van Nistelrooy made their first
It was
Manchester United
debut.
team debuts, and there was a lot of interest there. But Man United with Giggs and York and they brought some big players down for that, and it was only a 1-0 win. Ryan Giggs scored on the stroke of half time. Bloody hell, Lee Roche, what you were doing there? You can't let Giggsy in at the back post.
He was on
I
loan.
think his brother said that, didn't he?
Oh God.
Yeah. I'm just flicking through this. Darren Ferguson, Joey Jones, little piece on Tommy Bamford. Yeah, just a really good piece. Just obviously lots of Dave Lovett. Yeah. Ian Moore. Just by coincidence, that program for Gareth Owen's testimonial just happens to be there with him in there.
If you're listening, that last 30 seconds was Andrew Pollard reading
flicking through paper, which translates really well for audio. Right, let's move on. Obviously, Gaz these days involved so much with the ladies, especially at the junior level. Wrexham Women's Awards came out this season, end of season awards. So player of the season, Abby Iddenden, who got 17 goals and 20 starts and was so key to, obviously we had the poor start to the season. It was very much a season of two halves, and I don't think it's any coincidence that things really picked up when she started to find her feet coming back from injury. So that was extremely well deserved. You got player of the season, which is Liz Craven, which for her coming in the summer, taking over from Del Morgan, that was always a big spot. See, Del Morgan playing a huge part in the club over the last couple of years. And then you've got young player of the season for a second year running, Lily Jones, who it's nuts to think that Lil doesn't even turn 20 until September. She's still only 19. It feels like she's been there forever because, I mean, she has, but very well deserved. And she also got goal of the season for a screamer against TNS in a 1-0 win back in February, which was one of those backs against the wall performances. Liz Craven, excellent in goal, and then Lily goes and scores 25-yarder to wrap it up. Any thoughts on these awards? All seem pretty much nailed on, I think, for me.
Not so much in the awards, but going back to the documentary, when Ryan and Rob say they want to make the best women's team in the world, I don't think they're joking, really. So I think it's going to be very interesting who they bring in. And I know we're sort of dismissing that they couldn't get the likes of Gareth Taylor, but that doesn't mean we won't try, because we're going to go to transfers soon, and some of the names that are being linked show where this club want to go. And I think that's the same for the women as it is for the men.
Can you not mention Gareth Taylor in front of me?
I know.
Just gets me excited.
You've just reminded me of a message we received. I think it was last week when we were discussing the women's game. Who was it that mentioned? I think it might have been you, Addy.
It was Gilbo. It was
just
Gilbo.
about. I think you raised the question that would they get to the point where they would look to go outside of the Welsh setup and play the likes of Arsenal, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Chris Ford said, first want to say I love your pod, been listening from New Zealand from ages. This week, though, I've got a bit of a gripe with what was said in the latest episode. Someone, Andy, brought up the question if Wrexham women will outgrow the league and potentially move to England. This made my blood boil, to be fair. Anything to do with Wales gets good and people start looking to move it to England. The question should be, how do we make the Welsh league grow with Wrexham? If Wrexham women ever moved to an English league, I would stop supporting them. This view that nothing good can stay in Wales is fucking shit coming out of a Welshman's mouth. So there you go.
That's you told, Andy.
Oh, well done.
And then he adds, I honestly think jumping ship because the grass is green is on a par with MK Dons and TNS. Forgetting your roots. The roots of Wrexham women is in the Welsh league. I concur, Chris Ford. I concur. Andrew, right to reply?
I still think it could be a possibility. Sorry, Chris, I really do. Because if you want to become the best women's team in the world, well, like Ryan and Rob say they wanted to do it, then unfortunately you can't do it in a semi-pro league. You've got to go professional. And if you go professional and win it every year in the Welsh league, then I'm sorry to grow. I think I think it is a long-term option. I really do. And I'm sorry, Chris, if you think that's the wrong thing to do. But we go back to where do Wrexham play? Well, they play in the English leagues because that's where they can really grow.
Wait until Chris hears what you want to do with the Ponks off the aqueduct. He's going to be absolutely fuming.
One less listener in New Zealand.
Well, I think that's easier if we just move the border there, Liam. So just.
I'd say, Chris, feel free to get in touch with a response to Andy's comments.
Oh no,
Andrew Gilpin at hotmail.com.
No, don't do that.
Approach.
We can give you his work email address as well if you really want. We can give that one out. But yeah, just circle back to the women's awards. Any final thoughts on that before we change topics? Like I said, I think all the awards are very. If I was picking it, that's what I would have picked.
I think it just could have done with a bit more fanfare. It almost sort of just quietly, got dropped there. I would have liked to see them get a bit more fanfare for their achievements this season. Because, like you said, difficult start and then to turn it around like they did deserve some plaudits. So yeah, more fanfare for the ladies team.
I really want to go and watch them. I've been guilty of not going to watch them at the Rock through a point of principle. Obviously, if you know the background of it with who's involved in terms of the Druids aspect and what was done there, that has never really sat too well with me. But if they do buy it, if the club buy it, then great. And if the club do buy it, they will pour a whole lot more resources into it because it will be theirs to own and theirs to evolve. So I hope it does happen because it's a great setup down there as well.
Yeah, I think just to touch on what Liam said there quickly, it was very underwhelming. It was the first I'd heard about the awards was coming out was a picture on, I don't know, Facebook or Twitter or something from Lily herself, just with basically saying like thanks for the award, honoured to have the award, that sort of thing. And it's like you look into it and the club basically just dropped like a bit of a tweet, and then there was an article that wasn't really that well advertised on the website. And it just felt a bit underwhelming for him. But
were they at the presentation? I didn't go to the presentation afternoon at the racecourse. Were they there? Were they celebrated there?
Not
I
really,
recall.
No, I know some of the players were there, but they were in the crowd, just going along as spectators.
Somebody mentioned this to me, and it didn't dawn on me at the time because obviously you're just in the throes of the celebrations. But there was a load of seats at the back which weren't filled. And somebody made the suggestion, well, was that for the women's team? And they didn't want to come to it. But they had their separate award ceremony in Chester, which Rob McElhenney kind of was at and headed.
Where?
Yeah. But look, whatever.
Taking things over the
they're
border.
already moving to England.
It's a catch-20. It's a catch-22. What they've achieved this season is great, and we want to celebrate it. And some people say, well, they should have had that involvement with the men's first team as well. But you never know. They might have just said, look, we would prefer our own thing because we've done our own thing. And maybe that's the way it is. Who knows? Either way, it's done and dusted. And, it's all been applauded and celebrated in the best possible way, I think. So,
yeah. Well, there is some more Wrexham action starting this week. We've gone from the men's team to the documentary. We've gone to the women's team, the youth team we talked about, and now we get to talk about the Wrexham TST team, which that tournament, the TST tournament, starting in North Carolina, this Wednesday, so in a couple of days' time. Just a few of the names involved playing for Wrexham: Gary Hooper, ex-Celtic; Bradley Johnson, ex-Norwich; Elliot Bennett, ex-Norwich, and former Dirty Slops as well down the road. George Boyd is back. Ryan Jarvis is back, former Wrexham player. Some of the young Wrexham lads, Harry Ashfield's gone out for it. Jake Bickerstaff, Aaron James, Callum Edwards, Dave Jones, our assistant manager, is there. Mark Howard is there.
Tom Kelly.
Is Tom Kelly part of it as well? I must understand. But is this is a weird one, this tournament. Obviously, it's good because it gives the American fans something to go and watch. It puts the name out. It doesn't harm the brand. It just puts our name out in even bigger circles. But it's more, for me, it's the aspect of random players that have no ties to Wrexham whatsoever, like Bradley Johnson, ex-Premier League player, great player, but what's his connection to playing for Wrexham? Gary Hooper, great goal scorer for Celtic.
Hang on, are you reading the right squad here, mate? I've got Alex Moore, Callum Edwards, Aaron James, Tom Kelly, Ben Tozer, George Boyd, Liam McAlindon.
You know what? Scrap all that. I must have looked at the last squad.
I like that team.
James, like what I just said.
I got it from the I got that from the TST website.
The one thing I did sort of see when I saw the squad, I said, no Mark Howard. And I know he's left.
Well, my
the
squad
club.
had Mark Howard in it. I'm just
Well,
saying.
yeah, I mean, but I know he's left. He's left the team. He's left the club. But I was a bit surprised no Mark Howard, unless he's got like family holiday or other commitments he wanted to go to. So
He's got a club to look out for, isn't he? If he goes over
yeah,
there and gets
maybe.
injured.
Yeah. Maybe if he needs to get a club for next season, he needs to be. He can't go and get injured in South Carolina.
Yeah,
But the two goalkeepers are Abraham Rodriguez and Yannick Parks. Now I don't know much about I mean, I watched a bit of the TST, and I think maybe the goalkeeping situation is a bit different because they do need to be extremely good with their feet, and it's more like a sweeper keeper sort of scenario. And maybe they've gone a bit different there to try and win it. But Liam McAlinden's back. And Ben Tozer, do they have throw-ins? I don't think they do. They're kickoffs, don't they?
Yeah.
they'll take
Oh,
those.
that's a shame.
Isn't Jake Hyde back as well? Did I see?
Jake Hyde is, yeah. Now, yeah, of course Jake Hyde's there. I've seen him clear as day on my squad, but yeah, I got off from the TST website. Need to update it. Yeah, Mark Albrighton as well, which is I stand by my point. James Chester, I can kind of Welsh international, maybe, but yeah, just I don't know. It's just I find it weird where it's just players with no connection from the club
Who
that play.
who puts these squads together? Like
Mr. Burns, he gets the ringers in from the different leagues.
Darryl Strawberry's
it's like they just put a shitload of names into a hat and just go, right, let's see who we get. Mark Albrighton will have him. You know, it is random. It's glorified five-a-side with is it still £1 million prize?
I think so. Yeah, that was the prize. Yeah,
which is great. All of a sudden, it's not so much a fun escapade if you're really in that level of money.
Surely the first time they did it was they brought the legends out and it was more like a Masters, but they weren't going to win it because you can't win it with Morel in who's nearly 50, great player, but nearly
don't
50.
say that about Andy Morel.
But you know what I mean? I think they have sort of changed their squad a little bit with the chance of trying to win it.
Sorry, I'm just laughing to myself at just going through the descriptions of the tournament here, and it's George Boyd has become a Wrexham Red Dragons fan favourite at TST after scoring dramatic target score time winning goals. Target score. I watched the first. Was it? Yeah, Truns and Morale were out there. I saw the first one. Last year's one, I clearly did not watch because I didn't recognise the squad until I just seen it then. But it's just I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me. The game's gone. The game's gone, Tim. The game's gone.
It's random, but I said in the group chat that I'm on that I felt it's lost its novelty value a little bit, and it was shot down in the sense that people said, well, it's just a bit of fun, and it is that, and it is. I'm going to see it as it's a good learning curve for some of those younger players that we've mentioned, where they can go out. It is technical, it is fast, it is furious. They're going to be training in warm temperatures, and they've got some seasoned pros there to get plenty of advice from, whether that's Chester, whether that's Albrighton, whoever. So take it for what it is. I think it's just like I said, the branding aspect of it, keeping that name out there, and kind of scratching an itch between now and August the 9th or 10th or whatever that first game will be.
One thing I am looking forward to be honest, is because obviously the women's team are out there as well playing in their tournament. Getting to see Mia Roberts back in the Wrexham shirt, that'll be nice. Obviously does the commentary these days. And Del Morgan as well, who we mentioned, then who obviously left the club at the end of the season. She's going out there as well. But there's no current ladies players in the women's TST squad. There is American midfielder Nicole Baxter, former Canada international striker Lindsay Agnew, and Dominican Republic international defender Brianne Reed are all back. And then lots of guests, including Lionesses legends Katie Chapman and Rachel Unit, who boast 196 international caps between them. I did not know that. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Robbo and Del Morgan playing. But other than that, the tournament as a whole, and obviously it's nice that Ben Toes is involved, but I'm McAlinden, but I don't know.
Are you not a Destiny 2 Sant fan?
Who do?
Gabriela Cuevas.
That does not ring any bells with me. I could not say if that was a footballer or a singer. I have no idea.
Say that they're the Argentinian Shed 7 cover band, and I missed my moment then.
Well. I did see something about some music as well on the description of the TST as well, because it's a fair little write-up they've got. But I feel like this is a dead horse that we've beaten that we're going to move on from. We're playing Bournemouth, the men on Real Atletico and Pat McAfee's CONCACAF SC. I do like that one of the women's teams that they're playing is called Drunken Monkeys. So yeah. There we go. Right. Moving on to our next topic, which is transfers.
Oh, hang on. Do I need to play something?
Prepped as ever.
Prepared as
Prepped
always.
as ever.
Don't worry about it. You just talk amongst
Just,
yourselves.
just dance. All right, then there's one thing that we did miss. Welcome to Wrexham, the Necaxa version. We forgot to mention that, but there is a Necaxa. Welcome to not it's not going to be called Welcome to Wrexham, is it? But there's a Necaxa Netflix documentary, isn't it? It's going to follow suit. So it's kind of going to be like
That's a great idea. I mean, that's a format that works, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
why don't you
exactly.
try and repeat that format in different continents, different languages? No, I get it. Put a celebrity spin on a football club and make it not just about the club, make it about the community, and you drag in a lot wider audience to it. I get that. I think it's a template that can work in other places. We just need a little percentage of each club, so when it goes really big, that we get a bigger return.
Yeah, it's
play your song.
Oh right, okay.
Oh my
you had it ready
word.
to
After
go.
all that, he still hasn't
After
got
all
it.
that, killing that
I
dead
like to
air.
move it. I like to move it. I like to move it. You like to move it.
There's an advert with that in at the moment, and every time it comes on, I just have to think about Liam and his transfer roundup.
Well, most people think of me anyway when any
adverts
song comes
come
on.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah. So this week, boy, have we got some names. One of them, I think Tim's going to have to chime in on because he's the man ITK on this one. But first name up, Wales international, an all-round solid legend, Ben Davies. Tim, safe to say you'd be pretty happy with that one.
Oh, mate, he's so good. Again, for the newsletter this week, I just wrote something about him. Like, you don't stay at a Premier League club for 11 years if you're not wanted and respected by the endless amount of managers that have come and gone at Spurs. So that's testament to him, his professionalism, his versatility, resilience, all the superlatives you want to chuck at him. Really, really, really top signing if we can get him. There's no guarantees. He might stay at Spurs. And if he doesn't stay at Spurs, there's going to be plenty of teams who finished above Spurs, which is not difficult this season, to come in for him. So if we do it, it will be the latest benchmark in terms of our signing. Forget. Yes, he's 32, but he's 32 and he's still really, really good. And he would be straight away captain or co-captain with Maka. I just think it's an amazing signing. I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad game for Wales.
I think Ellis James named him as his most underrated Wales player.
Honestly, and the only reason he's underrated is because of the company he's kept in the last 10, 12 years. We've had that golden generation, which he's been a key part of, but in an understated way, because he doesn't go about his business in a shiny show-off fashion. He just gets on. He's just an old school defender that is no nonsense, and he just gets on with it, earns his money, goes home. He's never been one for the celeb lifestyle. So
yeah.
Dickhead test is well and truly passed if he comes this way. Please come to Wrexham, Ben Davies.
I don't think there's anyone who would be disappointed with that one. I'm going to bring you in on this next one, Tim, because I believe it's yours to share. Christian Eriksen? Am I reading this correct?
Right. This could be like the lads that I'm in a group chat with have completely thrown me a red herring here. But apparently, that Parky is interested in signing Christian Eriksen. Now, again, the sort of the pre-fit for what we have at the moment is of a certain age, of a certain experience, and he is of a certain age, and he comes with bags of experience. So we're in a weird position where it's almost impossible to chuck any of these ideas out and dismiss them as complete lunacy because it's Wrexham, isn't it? Anything's possible. Anything's possible. I don't see it because I think there's only so many players you can afford where the wages are going to be obscene, and Ben Davies isn't on a small amount of cash as either straight away. So yeah, but that is a rumor. It's a wild rumor. I'm sure Nathan Rich will have the steer on that. If anybody does, they are the Man United snouts regarding that. So it's probably rubbish, but who knows? Humour me.
No, I like that one. Can we make up a hotel that he was seen in just because I think it adds to the
Ramada.
He was in the Ramada.
Yeah.
He was ordering
Dave
beans
Brammer.
on toast with Dave Brammer.
That was it.
No, Jake Spate. It was Jake Spate, I think.
And then he went to the Pant for a lamb lunch afterwards.
Yeah.
So next up I'm gonna join these two together. West Ham duo Aaron Cresswell and Danny Ings. Danny Ings is a name that I forgot was still playing football, if I'm quite honest. But yeah, formerly of Liverpool, and teams numerous to mention. What are we thinking about these sites? These are all very much, the ones that have come out this week are all very much in the same sort of category, which I'm not going to say journeyman, but sort of experienced Premier League stars who are perhaps coming towards the end of their career. So Fitzparky's MO, do we think there's truth to it, or is it just people seeing these
do.
names? And yeah,
I think Parky has a plan to get Wrexham out of the league each time, and he slightly modifies that plan. And back into last season, he went a bit younger, but I think he's looked at the Championship and gone, right, what I need is Premier League level experience. If the rumours are true and they've got 30 million to spend, are you going to spend 15 million of that on a young striker and see if it works out, or are you going to spend all that money on wages and pick up free transfers from the Premier League who think can supplement your squad? So go through the spine. You don't need a keeper, but you probably need a defender. Where's how Ben comes in. You need a creative midfielder. Well, that's where Eriksen comes in. If you can't get Ben Davies, do you go for Aaron Cresswell? You know, just because he's talking to these people doesn't mean he's going to sign them all, but he's probably doing the dickhead test, seeing how much they'll come for, sort of saying, do you want to be part of this project when you're 32, 33? And I think he's talking to a lot of people with certain positions in mind. I think he will want to strengthen the spine of that team with experienced Premier League level free transfers. And so I talked to my mate about my West Ham supporting mate about Cresswell and Ings. He says, Cresswell has no pace, but a lovely left foot. He's also very calming. Now, if you can put pace around him, that might be an option. Ings playing off the striker would be dynamite. We played him up front alone, which isn't great considering his height. The thing is, Ings loves is the money. He would never leave us because of the huge wage he was on. But to be honest, he's made his money. I would expect him to go to a parachute payment club first, but he will score you a lot of goals if you got him. So that's his sort of honest appraisal of Danny Ings. Look, there's other people as well. Craig Dawson. You know, if you can't get Davies and you can't get Cresswell, then Dawson's another option. I do think he is looking for some experience, probably in the centre of the defence with the younger, more athletic defenders like Brunt and Max either side of them. There's others as well. There's one name I've been told, and I know it's right, but I can't say on the podcast because they'll know where it's come from. But I went, oh wow, okay, that fits in.
Kiki Masampa, yes.
But that just fits into it fits into what I think Parky is looking at to try and get us out of this league. It would certainly these names would certainly steady us, but I think they're going to have another go at it, aren't they? They're going to try and get into the playoffs again, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, Dawson is very. I've just been doing something on him for work, and he's very much of the sort of personality that Parky would go for. You know, there's a lot of talk about his work ethic. You know, first one in the gym type of thing. It gives sort of James McLean vibes in terms of the character that it would bring in. So
he's 35 though. Is Dawson creaking a little bit?
Oh God! Jesus Christ! Has anyone got a cricket sound effect?
No, it's got the Dawson's Creek theme in my head now.
What about that? Here's an interesting one for you, Tim. Danny Ward. Now, the Sun came up with this on Sunday. I think they're just putting 2 and 2 together because I can't see Danny getting in ahead of Arthur at the moment. And would Danny Ward, at his stage of his career, I know it's his hometown club, come in to not be number one?
We had Danny on the pod a few years back. I mean, I can't remember if we ever asked him that question.
I don't think it was a question you would ever ask him because we weren't, we were non-league.
Yeah, but yeah, but it was like a, in future, blah blah blah. But it's a weird one because a couple of years ago, you'd put him in ahead of the whole Ben Foster surprise scenario, wouldn't you? You would have took him at.
Well, he was the ultimate loanee, wasn't he?
It's a weird thing for Danny Ward because I like him and he's done well for Wales for the most part when he's been coming, but ultimately he hasn't really played much football over the last X amount of years, and I don't want to say he's been happy to sit on the bench because ultimately, if he's not getting game time, but he's still getting paid handsomely for it, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? We'll all be in a similar situation. It's just, I just feel like I think he has wasted a large proportion of his career by not actively seeking first team football and being a number one somewhere. And I just think eventually that'll catch up with him, as has been the case now. It'll be very interesting to see where he ends up. It won't be with us. I wouldn't want it to be with us now, and that's not throwing shade at him. I just think we're fortunate where we've got two very, very, very good goalkeepers. The only thing that would open that up to a possibility is whether there's this groundswell of support for Arthur Okonkwo to possibly look at a Nigeria call-up. And if that happens, then you're a little bit short.
Africa Cup of Nations.
But Danny Ward isn't going to come and be a third choice goalkeeper at Wrexham. It's just not going to happen. And for the money he would want, it's not going to happen for the club. It's just not. It makes no financial sense if you take the emotional aspect out of it. And
no, it doesn't.
Him returning back to, I think he played. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew. You remember this, but we played 2 games in the same day, didn't we? Once one was at Airbus, and it was Luton for that dead rubber, and he played the Airbus game, didn't he? None of us were there, obviously.
I agree totally with what Tim says. It's one of them where even if he would be happy to come and be third choice for the money he'd be wanting, no, I'm all right. We're as weird as it is to say this when you look at how things were a few years ago. I think we're past him at the moment, and it is. He got his big move to Liverpool. He had a loan spell at Aberdeen where he was really good. Right. Had that loan spell at Huddersfield to get him to the Championship, and you're thinking, right, this is where he kicks on. Maybe looks for a permanent move, and it didn't. And it is the man has not played enough football really when you look at the abilities he's got and the potential he had at one point in time, and then finally when the Kasper Schmeichel thing kind of did him as well, because Kasper Schmeichel set to go to Chelsea, Danny Ward came in from Liverpool to Leicester, the Schmeichel transfer didn't happen, and then he's second choice again, and then when he finally did get a chance to be number one, it didn't quite work out for him, to be fair.
And played 101 club games according to Wikipedia, which I know isn't always bang on.
How many Wales caps he got?
44. So he's played more times for Wales than he ever has for one club. So he's played 29 times for Leicester.
And the weird thing is, like when he started for Wales in the Euro 2016 opener against Slovakia, I was so chuffed for him. I was like, this is amazing, because nobody expected it.
And he handled it well. He handled
that occasion really well. Had a good game. I thought this is really going to escalate, and he's really going to get more game time now. And unfortunately, him and Hennessy and Adam Davies, all these Welsh goalkeepers that just are good goalkeepers in their own right, but any other country on earth, they would not be starting for their countries by virtue of the fact they're not getting enough game time. But Wales just don't have. We have this previous riches of like Nev Southall, all these great keepers, but we just don't churn them out on enough regularity, and that's where we stumble. Like, Danny Ward's going to be playing in goal for Wales, no doubt. At some point, maybe if Carl Darlow, gets an injury, but Carl Darlow's not ahead of him. This is the same Carl Darlow that refused to play for Wales on several occasions before Craig Bellamy convinced him otherwise. So, yeah, Danny Ward, we wish him well wherever he ends up. But
for me, it's got to be probably maybe a lower level championship club where he just goes there and becomes number one.
If he wants to be number one, I think that's the question as well. That's a big question.
Do you think that? Yeah,
I don't know when you look at
gets used to being on the bench.
Yeah, and maybe he is used to that. And like you said, he's made plenty of money. He could probably retire tomorrow if he wanted to. So it comes down to do you still have that hunger to go and be number one there? But one last bit on Danny Ward. You mentioned about the question of you didn't get round to asking would he ever come back to us. I actually did get to ask him that. He popped into the My Squin at one point for one of the pre-match he was about, and he came into the back room, so he's a bit out of the way.
Nice fella, isn't he?
Yeah, really lovely fella. Came in with the beast with Kreitz. Lovely bloke, absolutely lovely bloke. Just sat talking to him, having a bite to eat, and a pint or two. And I mentioned that about and I think this was the season we got promoted from the National League, I think. And it was the question of where do you reckon on your journey would be the chance you'd be looking to come back? And he reckoned, as he put it, was by the time we were in League One, he reckoned that's when his career would be on that decline. Obviously, League One, we've been there, done that now. And I think it's one of those where the boat's been missed. I think with the possible Danny Ward comeback, and in terms of a third choice, you just need a body there. I think. I mean, yes, if Arthur does go the international route there, then maybe, but I think just for the What we had this season was a total freak occurrence with the 2 goalkeepers getting injured in the space of a couple of weeks and having to turn to the third choice keeper. So I think you can get away with just essentially just a body there who's happy to come in, do the work, know their third choice, and if the chance comes our way, yeah, okay, go and take it.
There was Sheffield United, I think under Warnock, used to have it. They only used to have Paddy Kenny, and they didn't have a backup. Their backup was Christian Rogers, and he was brought in just to train with Paddy Kenny. And if there was ever an injury to Paddy Kenny, they'd go out and get a lone keeper straight away. So that's how some clubs approach the keeper situation.
I remember the story on that at the time because obviously Christian Rogers, former of Wrexham, him and Dave Walsh vying for the #1 spot at one point in time. And when he left, there was always a story of Christian Rogers, because it was Christian Rogers to Sheffield United when we'd released him.
Yeah.
And it's like, how's that move come about? And the story was that he'd sent basically a highlights package video to a load of clubs, and Sheffield United had just gone, yeah, come on.
Have you seen it? It's on YouTube.
Not. Oh no, I'm not.
It's awful. It's like, imagine it's like Alan Partridge version of trying to sell yourself as a goalkeeper for other clubs. Sorry, Christian, with a K.
Lovely fella. Lovely fella.
Dreadful.
Yeah, he was a great fella. Yeah.
Go and have a look at it. Christian Rogers, Wrexham. If you YouTube it, it's so bad. He's not an actor, that's for sure.
Some would say he was maybe not a goalkeeper, but that would be a bit of a low blow. No, he's top fella, and he came in at a struggling time with a struggling team, and the uncertainty of him and Dave Walsh, like I said, coming in and out at that point in time. Just to backtrack on that totally. I think we're kind of done on transfers. I will say Aaron Cresswell, that's the one that really interests me. I just think, again, I'm a sucker for a wand of a left foot. And that guy's, and you talk about the dickhead test, the fact he's been at a club like West Ham, which at times has been a bit of a basket case club in terms of managers coming in and out. But for him to have been there for so long playing Premier League football and there's so many different managers suggests that, yeah, he's not an arse. And I just think that'd be really smart if he was interested. Ben Davies, yes, of course, we take him. Maybe as a left-sided centre-half, although we do have Lewis Brunt. Although there is that one other transfer rumour of Miles Peart-Harris, Liam, attacking midfielder at Brentford on loan at Swansea last season, I believe.
Yeah, very pert. Very. I've seen one clip of him, which I'm going to base my entire opinion off him. He looks fast, pacey, just what we need. That might have just been one highlight for him at Swansea, but yeah, that's all I know. Very pert, though.
What do you mean by pert? I mean, it's really unsettling me. You mean it's
because
very
we can attribute like to certain areas of the body, can't you?
It's a bit like your haircut, Andy. It's very pert.
Yeah,
Pert, 22 years of age, Premier League club,
7 goal assists.
Pedigree from Pert. Right. Speaking of pedigree. Hello, my pedigree chums. Some news that put a smile on my face this week. The EFL and Panini have launched a partnership. So yes, as we're all very sensible grown adults who have bills to pay, we're going to be buying Wrexham stickers this coming season, yeah?
Yeah. Can't wait for my Mo Fowl.
Are they stickers or are they cards? This is a key point here.
I thought it was a sticker book, but I couldn't as I've shown today, I may have misread something, but I thought it was a sticker album.
I got the Wales one. I went down the Wales 2016 route just to kind of elicit some sort of.
How did you get your swaps with other people? Did you hang out?
It was a bit mad. I think so. I think it was just like some various ways, Facebook and groups and I genuinely can't remember. I won't be doing it this time, to be honest. It's not those days.
The last time I did swaps, I think it was the World Cup 2010. And it was, when I met somebody to do swaps in Wetherspoons, just and, like turning up like seedily with our giant wads out, ready to take a look at the other person's what they're packing.
Were the FBI there?
If they were, they've not called me yet. So
it says cards, by the way.
Oh, that's disappointing. Then scrap that.
I've got these stickers.
Well, it says they got this partnership, and it mentions stickers and cards, but then it says. So the launch of the first ever EFL hobby trading cards featuring player autographs and memorabilia for nerds, collectors to chase.
Nah. Game's gone.
Yeah. Let's move on.
We need to get through this quickly. But anybody remember there was like the Football League sticker out in about, I think, 1994, and Wrexham were in it, but we had 2 players per sticker. I seem to remember Mark Taylor and Gareth Owen being together, and it'd be like Stevie Watkin and Benno. But that was the last time I could think of that Wrexham were in the sticker album. Seemingly they're not going to be anymore. So trading cards, game's gone.
Right, move on.
Move on. Are we going to go with this next segment then?
Got need.
Let's
go through it. Yeah, let's go through it.
Okay, this is we are wrapping up. Actually, it's the last topic, so let's crack on. The idea of Tim here, which I do quite like this idea, where obviously when you had sticker albums, and I guess when you have cards, you have the got need. And so a little spin on that is the current Wrexham players who are under contract. Would you be in terms of got need? Would you swap them, or do you need him? Would you keep him? Just a quick one-word answer, I guess. We run through the names. Tim, I'll start with you, then Liam, then Andy, and I'll just go through a name. You will give an answer, and we'll go to the next one. So, Jacob Mendy.
Swap, as in that denotes farewell, goodbye, get rid. Sorry, Jake.
There's that one-word answer. Liam.
Swap.
Swap.
Yeah, swap, I think, unfortunately. Seb Robin.
Swap.
Need.
Ooh.
Sorry, I'd swap.
I think you're getting Aaron Cresswell in. Swap. Dan Scar.
Need.
Swap, but only if you get someone better in. I just think the pace might get him in the championship.
This is not a one-word answer.
No.
Yeah.
Me and Liam are sticking to the remit. Need.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Owen O'Connell. Tim.
Swap. No. Need. Sorry.
Peer pressure there, Tim. You bottling that because Gilbert was pulling faces.
No, need. I wasn't even looking. Need.
Liam.
Swap.
Gilbo.
Need. He can't.
He
he might not play as much, but need. Sorry.
Based on what we've got at the moment, I'd keep, but I think the names coming in, I'd be keeping Dan Scar ahead of Owen O'Connell. I'll put it like that. So I'll probably go swap.
Interesting.
Will Boyle, Tim.
Swap.
Liam.
Swap his bald haircut for a new one.
Swap.
Magnificent hair with him. I'd keep the hair, but I think Will be on his way to swap.
Congratulations, Will Boyle and Ollie Rathbone, for recently getting married, by the way. Thank you.
Together.
Together.
I didn't realize they were a couple, Tim, I'll be honest. That is team bonding.
Yeah. Never mind.
Tom O'Connor, Tim.
Swap.
Liam.
Swap.
Gilbo.
Need, because he can play a lot of positions. And
absolutely. Absolutely need by me. I'm keeping Tommy O'Connor. George Evans, gorgeous George. Tim.
Need
just for the eye candy.
Need, but he's got to play centre half.
I'd agree with that. I'd keep him either way, but I would like to see him at centre back.
He's a better centre half than he is defensive mid.
Yeah, need from me. Right, Luke Bolton, Tim.
Super swap.
Oh, boots in there. Jeez, you're literally boots him out the club. Get out of my club. Yeah, it's like a spin on old Pat Butcher and Peggy Mitchell. Get out of my club. Yeah, Liam.
Swap.
Gilbo.
Swap.
Yeah, it's thanks for the service. Thanks for coming in, Luke. It would be a swap. Matty James, Tim.
Need.
Liam?
Need as our backup creative midfielder, so he will play games, but just not start as many.
Need, and he's starting every single week for me. Every single week.
Right.
Elliot Lee, Tim.
Swap.
Need.
Sorry, swap. Sorry.
I'm needing. I'm needing. I'm keeping Elliot Lee. Right, where are we on this list? Ollie Palmer, big Ollie P.
Swap.
It's like a really shit Budweiser advert with the frogs. Paul Mullen, Liam. Liam, Tim, sorry. I'm looking at both here at the bottom of the screen.
Swap.
Liam?
Need.
Tim? Andy, I'm getting my names all over the place here. Jesus. Yeah, we're keeping Super Paul. Yeah. Absolutely need.
He needs a bloody pre-season. Give the lad a pre-season, see what you've got then.
Just to sort of back myself up on that, it's purely on the basis that I just feel like he's at that weird point now where he's starting to not lose his love for the game. He'll never do that, but he needs regular game time. He needs it. And unless he has a stomping pre-season, and depending on who else you bring in, I just don't see how that happens. We mentioned that Danny Ward sliding doors, man. I just feel this is like almost like an internal version of that. So I'd love him to stay, but I just feel he'll end up wanting to be the main man elsewhere.
Nicely backtracked. I like it. No, it does make sense. I like to see the logic. If he's going to want to play games, and whether he gets that in the championship, we'll see. But I keep Moles. Jack Marriott, Tim.
Swap.
Liam.
Swap.
Need. I like him. I like the cut of his jib. He came across really well in the documentary, I thought. And he showed last season.
Can't keep him because he came across well in the documentary.
Yes,
mate.
you can.
You can. It's my rules. It's my sticker book collection, and I'm keeping that.
All right,
I'm needing
okay.
that. Jay Rodriguez, Tim.
Need.
Swap.
Need. I think he's going to play the Fletcher role next season.
I'm gonna go. If there was a way to swap in terms of contractually, then I would swap. I think. And finally, Tim, Big Mo Fowl.
Swap with it loan in brackets.
Swap.
So I would swap him with someone, but then demand him back at the end of 9 months.
9 months is it a pregnancy? What?
Well, no, it's season, isn't it?
It's
So
just it was
he
very
needs-
specific.
Bofal needs to go to a League One or top League Two club and play and see what you've got, see how many goals you get from him, and see if there's because he's got all the attributes to be a brilliant player. Can he put them together, and can he put them together for us?
Yeah,
only if he double bags it and doesn't come back pregnant, as you just pointed out.
Yeah, when the water's broke, we'll get him back. No, for me, I'm keeping him. I'm not letting him go. I'll let him go
part
on
of the
loan.
squad thing. I mean, is it because is he still young enough to be not part of our squad?
That's a good question. Actually. But I think either way, I'm keeping him. I'm just sending him out, like you said, to a League One or Two club, but not permanently.
9 months.
Send him out on a
After 9 months, it doesn't matter if they've got the playoff final. He's coming back.
It's almost like Gary Neville, be a 9-month mini transfer or whatever. And with that, that's just about finally brought this podcast to an end. Again, as mentioned, there will be another pod sometime this week. It will be some sort of interview. It just depends whether it's one we've got ready to go or if something new comes together, shall we say. Thanks, as always, to our sponsors, to Vatball Mold and Wrexham, Hill Street Social, My Squin Hall, FA's Carnivore, The Bucking Banger, and The Croyce Howl. Support us by buying us a coffee. The link's below. Like, share, subscribe to help us with the algorithm. And, of course, check out the newsletter. And I believe that is us done. Unless Andy's going to throw in something there.
Oh, no, I just shared the newsletter again because I'm hungry for newsletter cash.
It's not come up.
Didn't it? All right, well, I'll describe it to you. So there's a square and then another little square and then there's loads of like little squares. So just put that into your phone.
Okay, well, my battery's going to go on my laptop. That's how long we've been on this. So I'm going to call an end to this. Catch you next week.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Here they come, our mighty champions. Raise your voices to